All right, let's take a look at this figured bass. This has chromatic harmonies in it. You can tell right away from the figured bass that we have some chromatic alterations. So we know some interesting stuff's going to be going on here. All right, I'll have a piece of staff paper so we can figure some stuff out. So with the key signature, we know that we're in B flat major or G minor, but it's pretty clear since we start on B flat and we end on B flat and we go FB that we are in the key of B flat major. All right, the first chord is voiced for us. Now, we know that's a 1 chord, okay? And we can see at the end, we've got these chords here. There's an F with nothing under it. That's a 5 chord, and this is a 1 chord, because it's B flat in the bass, and there's no figure with it, so we know it's a 5-3. So right here, this is a 4-2, okay? I'm just gonna do this right here. We know that we have B flat and E flat. I'm going to drop the A flat down an octave just for figuring this out, okay? So that's an A flat in the bass, and it says 4-2. Remember, 4-2 means it's a 7th chord with the 7th in the bass. So if A flat is the 7th, that is a B flat, D, F, A flat chord, because it's chromatically altered. So we can look at this chord, B flat major. This chord is chromatically altered, so we can't call this a 1 chord because the A flat does not fit the key of B flat. We see that this right here, B flat DF, is a major triad. B flat to A flat is a minor 7th. Therefore, this is a B flat 7 chord, and that's the formula for secondary dominant, 5-7 of something. Now, B flat is 1 in the key of B flat, and a 1 chord will lead to the 4 chord. So this is 5-7 of 4. The other way to think of it is B flat is 5 in the key of E flat is 4 in the key of B flat, so we still get the same analysis. Right? So in the piece, this is 5-4-2 of 4. And as we know, the 7th is in the bass. It resolves down to the 3rd of the chord of resolution, so this ends up being the 4-6 chord. All right. Very easy to move into this chord because we need a B flat, D, F, A flat. We can just sustain the B flat in the tenor, the F, and the D. Just hold these notes over. The bass moves down to the E flat, and that gives us the 5-4-2 of 4. So now we want to resolve 5-4-2 of 4. 7th has to resolve down. That's taken care of by the bass for us. Then we want to find the 3rd of this B flat chord because that acts like the leading tone. So that's the D, should resolve up to E flat. Then we'll keep our common tone B flat. And let's so right here, this note could move to either G or E flat. Since this is a first inversion chord, we could go to either of those notes. The doubling we're a little flexible with depending upon what happens in the context. What is the smoothest voice leading based on the context? And to know the full context, we need to figure out what the next chord is. So let's do that. This next chord, it says 7 with a natural. Now, the natural applies to the 3rd. And it's only necessary because we had this A flat previously, right? So that is F with a 7 and a natural. Okay, so we can stack this up within the key signature, and key signature gives us the A flat. We're still in the same measure, so the natural is simply canceling out this A flat, making this back into a diatonic chord. This is just our 5-7 chord. This is an F7 chord. So this is 5-7. Okay. Now this is an interesting spot, but I guess let's get our voice leading here. Let's do this. So this is a 5-7. we can decide here this F could go to E flat or F, sorry, G or E flat. Let's head into a complete 5/7 chord here. So let's think about having an A right here, keeping our E flat on top, and then this can pick up the C right here. Okay, so right here we can do this right here and go to G. Remember how we could have gone either to E flat or to G. By going to G, that lets us pass through to the A, and this is the A natural. This is contrapuntally interesting, and it's good voice leading, because do you see how this goes F, G, A natural? That is a voice exchange with this A flat, G, F. These swap pitches right here. So it's a chromaticized voice exchange where F, G, A natural is against A flat, G, F. So we have the contrast of the A natural and the A flat. Now, if we didn't know what was coming next, we would assume this chord is going to resolve to a 5 chord. Okay, so let's just game out some possibilities for this chord. B flat, E flat, and the chord we had F, C, A, E flat. So this 5/7 chord right here, if it were to resolve to 1, if it were to resolve in the most typical way, the implied resolution would be to root position 1 chord. The 7th would resolve down, the leading tone would go up. This would double the B flat, and this would be a complete 5/7 to an incomplete 1 chord with 3 roots and a third. Now the other possibility would be that instead of going to the B flat, this bass could just step up to G, and that would give us a deceptive resolution from 5/7 to 6. Okay, now if we look back at the score, you can see if we skip over the F sharp in the bass, this does go from 5/7 to 6. Okay, this F sharp just provides a smooth connection between the 5/7 and the 6. So think of this like this is a passing note. This F sharp, the C can sustain, and it says 6/5 above this. Right, 6/5 above F sharp is going to be D, F sharp, A, C. So we need F sharp, C, A, the A sustains, and the E flat just moves to D a little bit early. Do you see how this chord here in the middle could be omitted? And we would move perfectly from the 5/7 to the 6 chord. And in fact, what happens here, we could even think of this just as a linear simultaneity. I mean, not even really a chord. We could say this is a chromatic passing note. This one just anticipates the move to D, and it creates this thing. Now, we can actually give that thing a name. It's a D, F sharp, A, C chord, which is a 5/7 chord. Okay, so this is now a 5/6/5 of 6, which leads us to 6. Now, so we're thinking of this chord as D, F sharp, A, C. We want the smoothest possible voice leading. We keep our C as a common tone. We keep our A as a common tone. And the E flat slides down a half step to D. And this 5/7 of 6, leading tone goes up, 7th resolves down, keep our common tone, and this steps down to give us the root. Here once again we have the 4th scale degree in the bass with a 6, so this is a 2/6 chord. Okay, so we need a C minor chord, E flat in the bass. Very easy to maintain some common tones here. We can keep this G. This B flat can step up to C, and this D, let's also have that go to C. Okay, so that's a 2-6. And we have now going to a 5 chord, we need FAC, right? So this gives us F, we want 2 Fs. And we have 2 Cs here, one of them will tie over, and one of them will leap down to the 3rd. Let's tie this one over and take this one down to the leading tone, A. Now in the 5 chord, we'll resolve this up. We'll keep our common tone, and then we'll have the step up to D to give us the 3rd of the chord. Okay. Come with me to the piano, see if I can do that. Here we are at the piano. So we're in B flat. We've got this, and then the A flat enters, and it goes to this chord. This 5-7 chord, we expect it to resolve like that, but it can resolve to 6. It's just in this spot we get these passing notes. And then we go to 2-6, 5, 1. Here's the whole thing again. Beautiful progression, great chromatic voice leading.